Peeps, how's it going? Nsima here. I just got my Jiu-Jitsu Brown Belt. I'm going to talk to you guys about everything I've learned or the biggest things that have helped me get to this point so far within my Jiu-Jitsu career. I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu since December of 2015, and actually on this channel you'll be able to see the videos of when I started Jiu-Jitsu, going through white, blue, and purple belt, and you can see all that on the channel. You can see me get my ass beat. It's all there. But I want to let you know, if you guys have any questions about anything I talk about within this video, please comment down below because I'll respond. And also there's a new Discord server in the description. Nobody's in it. It's me with my lonesome self, but I want to be able to answer questions, help you guys out with whatever it is you're trying to do. So that Discord link is in the description to the Stronger Human Discord. Now let's get into it. I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu now for 6.5 years, and I finally just got my brown belt. I'm super excited to compete now within the brown belt rankings, and it's going to be super fun. But getting to this point, there was a lot of ups and downs within Jiu-Jitsu, and there's just certain things that everyone deals with when doing Jiu-Jitsu. The first thing is, if you're someone who's been contemplating starting Jiu-Jitsu, or if you are someone who's currently doing it and you're new, the first big thing is to understand that nothing makes sense. Especially if you were like me and you didn't come from a grappling background. I played soccer, I did lifting, but I never did martial arts or grappling. When I went into my first Jiu-Jitsu class, nothing made sense. And then for the next year, nothing made sense. I'd learn something, it would go over my head, I'd get my ass beat every single roll, every single class for upwards of a year. I would get my ass handed to me. And it didn't help that I was also a bigger guy, because people love kicking your ass when you're a bigger guy. It's like, hey, you're big, I'm gonna fuck you up and show you that that really doesn't matter. People like doing that, but just understand that it's normal. And I think this is one of the first humps that people find difficult, is when you start a new endeavor, or when you start a new sport, skill, whatever, for a period of time, you know that you're new, but you're expecting that things will make sense quick or somewhat quick. And when it doesn't, most people are typically tell themselves,
this isn't for me. This is just not my thing.
Well, let me tell you, if I let myself think that jiu-jitsu wasn't for me because, it didn't make any sense for a minute, I wouldn't be doing it right now. So give yourself the time and be patient enough with yourself to get over the hump of things not making sense. Because let me tell you, jiu-jitsu is complex. There's so many different ways to roll for so many different types of bodies that, especially again, if you don't come from a grappling background, some of these things are just not second nature. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people quit too early, because they didn't give themselves the time to actually get decent or to actually understand aspects of the sport. So be patient with yourself. One of the other things that helped me progress, I'd say in a pretty decently quick manner, was asking a lot of questions. So one thing is, whatever jiu-jitsu class or school you're at, usually the professor, the woman or man that's teaching, they'll do the technique and then they'll ask the class, do you guys have any questions? Now, I learned this from my mom, but I am not afraid of looking stupid, and I am not afraid of looking like I do not know what the fuck is going on. Because it's way worse to be the person that really doesn't know what's going on and doesn't ask any questions. Rather, it's better to be the person who doesn't know what the fuck is going on and ask the question so you know what's going on. So every time the professor would do something, and I still do this to this day, he would ask, does anyone have any questions? And I would always say,
hey, could you show that again?
Because I'm fucking stupid and I don't get it. Now, you're not stupid if you don't get it, trust me. But there's a lot of things I didn't know, and I wasn't afraid to show that I did not know it. Ask questions. And secondly, when you are rolling with other people, when you're now rolling with other partners with your white, blue, purple belt, whatever you are, ask questions after your roll, especially if you're rolling with an upper belt. Especially when I was a white belt, I'd do this with everyone. I would always ask, hey, what do you think I could improve? How did you feel this pressure? Or how do I escape what you were doing to me? If someone was doing something to me and I didn't understand how to escape it, I wouldn't just get out of the roll and be like, thank you, and go to the next person. I would ask them, hey, when you do that to me, how do I escape? Okay, if you don't ask questions, or if you just continue just rolling, it's good because you're getting experience, don't get me wrong. But those questions you ask will help you understand, number one, how to maybe escape those positions that you're getting yourself stuck in, maybe how to finish submissions, or maybe how to figure out new guards that you're just not understanding how to maintain people in. You need to ask questions, and you need to not feel ashamed for asking questions. And if there is some motherfucker that makes you feel ashamed for asking questions, honestly, fuck them. They don't really matter. Their growth is going to be slow. So just ask questions, homie, because it's going to help you out a lot. The third thing that I think is super important to do as you're going through your jiu-jitsu is, it depends on your goals specifically, but I did set goals with my instructor, Casio. I told him that I had really big goals as far as competition was concerned, and I wasn't really doing it super casually. Don't get me wrong. I want to do jiu-jitsu till I'm old. That's why I've been doing it for 6.5 years, and I know I want to be doing this when I'm 60, 70, 80 years old. But I also have some goals when it comes to competition that are kind of serious for me. So I set some goals with him so that, number one, he could understand what I was trying to achieve and he could understand what I was trying to do. But then also he could gauge how I gained my belts based off of what my goals were. And my goals were all competition based. This is the thing with jiu-jitsu. You can get certain belts just by the merit of having done it for a certain amount of time. Right? And then there are also people that get belts purely based off the amount of skill that they have for where they're at. So I know people who've gotten black belts in 5 years. I'm at year 6.5 and I just got my brown belt. But there are some people who don't get their brown belt until maybe year 8, 9, or 10. Just because maybe they only do jiu-jitsu once or twice a week and they're being pretty casual with it, but they're progressing, they're staying consistent, and they're doing their thing. That's good. But if you're somebody who wants to compete, if you're somebody who wants to do it at a really high level, it's a good idea to talk to your instructor and say, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. So if we can set some goals together of how I can improve so that I can do well in competition and so that I can compete at a higher belt level, let's figure that out. And that's what I did with him. And I think that's super important for yourself. So your instructor knows your goals and they know honestly, they know when the best time will be to promote you based off of the goals that you set with them. Number 4, don't do what's easy in your jiu-jitsu. What I mean is this. Now, as an ultra heavyweight, I'm around 250 pounds. Most big guys do not play guard. And when I mean play guard, they don't play off their back. They usually curb stomp their fucking partners and then they play on top and they smash, right? But I developed a guard game because I noticed that in competition, and you could actually see in my video that I did at Worlds as a blue belt, or I may have been a white belt, one of my matches, I was just literally standing with this guy because neither of us had a guard. And that's the tournament that made me realize in SEMA, you need a guard so that you can, most big guys don't play guard. So you want to develop a guard so that you're going to be intimidating. You can pull guard and kill. So that's what I did. I didn't just play the big guy game of taking down and staying on top and smashing. I developed a guard because I realized that, number one, the smaller guys have better technique. The individuals who are smaller usually have to fight against bigger guys, so their technique is pristine, but they're all really good guard players. So I figured that if I develop a good guard as a big guy and I can move my body as a smaller guy, I'm going to be able to wreck some guys. And that's what I did. So if you're a bigger athlete, learn to play guard. And if you're a smaller athlete, learn to develop maybe a bit of strength. Because number one, yeah, you want your technique to be on point, but you also want to be able to dominate people physically when necessary. A little bit of muscle never hurt anybody in jiu-jitsu. And I look at it like this. If two people are competing against each other and they have the same technique level, but one is a little bit stronger and bigger than the other athlete, more times than not, probably the bigger, stronger athlete is going to win if they have the same level of technique. So keep that in mind. And with that, I want to also mention something that every athlete within jiu-jitsu should be doing is strengthening their body. Now, it's funny. I do strength training outside of jiu-jitsu, but every time that my strength training has gone to the wayside and I've only focused on rolling, I developed some type of injury. So strength training, whether it's bodyweight training, whether it's training with weights, it doesn't have to be your main thing, but strengthening your body will make your body more resilient in jiu-jitsu. And a lot of people choose not to do jiu-jitsu because of injury risk and a lot of other things. But if your body is strong, and if your body is durable, and if your body is resilient, you're not going to get injured nearly as often. So truly, take the time to do some strength training outside of jiu-jitsu because let me tell you, that will help your body stay resilient enough to handle the stresses of the sport. Next up, roll. roll, and roll some more. My suggestion to anybody who's trying to increase their cardiovascular capacity within jiu-jitsu is not skip rolls when you're sparring. Even when you get tired, don't skip rolls. Do a roll with someone that is maybe a lower belt, or do a roll with somebody and start learning how to roll when you're tired. Number one, your endurance will increase over time as you do that. But number two, now you'll learn how to roll within stressful situations. And the other thing that kind of falls in line with this idea is start learning how to control your breathing at earlier belts. One bad habit that lower belts do have, and I've even seen this with upper belts, is when you get into pretty bad situations, people have the tendency to hold their breath. When they're doing a forceful movement, they hold their breath. When I was earlier in jiu-jitsu, or a few years ago, I started focusing on nasal breathing and breathing through my nose throughout everything. It helped me to become more relaxed, helped me to control my breathing more, and I barely ever opened my mouth to breathe when doing jiu-jitsu. It's purely anecdotal, and I know a lot of other athletes who've seen the same types of benefits, but I did notice that over time, my endurance increased, I was calmer during my rolls, and it was actually even now, it's very difficult for me to ever be erratic, even while I'm in bad situations, because my breathing's really controlled. So learn to breathe through your nose in jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna have more videos on this soon, but we have done podcasts on this over on the Power Project with Patch McEwen, Brian McKenzie, James Nestor, and Belisa Vranich. These are all breathing coaches, but we talked extensively about the benefits of breathing correctly for sport, and this is especially important within jiu-jitsu. So I'm gonna talk more about jiu-jitsu stuff over time, but if you guys have any questions for me about anything, comment down below. Hit up that Discord. You can find me over at Mark Bell's Power Project. The link for that's also below. And anything that I'm affiliated with, companies, all of that good stuff, Vivo Barefoot Shoes, all of that good stuff is also down below. I'm excited to make more and more videos here because I've learned so much doing over 700 episodes of that podcast with different guests. And I'm just excited to share a lot of this information with y'all. So this is Nsima. Follow me for more tips on becoming a stronger human, and I will talk to you guys later.